I've seen a decent amount of people asking about auto duel decks. The first deck I'm going to show you is Balance Auto Fusion. So I think that this one is one of the most consistent decks. It also consistently gets 3 through 4,000 points. So in this deck you're gonna want to run 15 monsters and 5 spell cards. So you're gonna want, let's see, Fusion Summon. If you don't have 3 fusion gates, you can run 3 poly plus 2 fusion sages. So this could work. Thought that would pull fusion sage. So you could run it like this. Fusion gate is really good though, so I'd recommend using those if you have any. But you do want 5 spells and 15 monsters. So for the monsters, I usually like to run 2 red eyes plus 2 meteor dragons, and then 2 blue dragon summoners. With that combination, like, you'll always end up drawing 3 monsters plus 1 spell, so it's impossible for you to start with all 4 in your hand. But even if you do end up getting all 4 in your hand on your 5th draw, you'll probably end up winning the game because you'll get out 2 of these dudes. So the auto fusion deck really doesn't like to do fusions on turn 1, but they will do it on turn 2. So I suggest either setting a blue dragon summoner or Des Kangaroo turn 1, or just straight up doing the fusion yourself on turn 1 and then clicking auto duel. Yeah, if you can, I'd really recommend sticking to fusion gate. It gets multiple uses instead of just one, so that's pretty huge. Save that. Oh, and also you can get a quick victory pretty often depending on the duelist if you just set a Des Kangaroo. They'll usually attack into it. Like the duelist that uses, well, there's 2 duelists that uses Reimei. They'll just crash into it. But if it's the OTC deck, then they'll just get over 1700 or match it. So on to the next deck. Let's look at standard beatdown. So I'm sure this is pretty similar to the decks that most people start off with. So for this kind of deck, all you really need is 10 monsters with 1700 or more attack. So you don't really have to have 3 of the same dude. I just sort of threw this guy in for fun. Like, all you really need is over 1700. And then throwing in 1 or 2 tribute summons will give you some more points. So hopefully you'll be able to get your 3k points. So the main thing that beatdown decks do well for auto duels is you can throw in cards like Mirror Wall or Inspiration or Reinforcements, and you just bait the enemy into attacking you, and you'll usually get a quick victory if they do that. And then of course stuff like Econ. It's pretty good for stuff like Cocoon. You can also throw in Windstorm, of course. And for this deck, I just threw in a bunch of dark and light monsters so I could potentially special summon Dark Flare. It's usually not needed. It'll usually just tribute summon for it. But I sort of did this one for fun at one point. And then like I put Last Gamble on it because like sometimes I'd be watching the auto duels for a little or just like randomly glance over at it and then use Last Gamble if it's past turn 5. Get some extra points. Of course that's not really mandatory. With Rising Energy you could get the over 3k damage bonus with any of your monsters if it's a direct attack. And Inspiration is good because you run this 2400. So yeah, getting 3k damage bonus is pretty good. Let's see. We also have Beast Rising. The ability really doesn't matter for it. Just use one that's useful for the duels that you're using, if possible. So for this deck, we're gonna want 10 Beast or Beast Warrior type monsters. So that's pretty simple. Just do Filter, Normal Effect, and you want Beast, Beast Warrior. I don't think any of the level 3s will be that good, but you can look for them anyways. You can also filter by Glossy if you want, but you probably won't have like that many extra beasts. And you might as well sort by attack. So this dude's pretty useless, just ignore him. Yaksha is pretty good for this deck, but sometimes when he dies the auto duel will just destroy one of your random cards and make you go -1 for no reason. So I don't recommend him. I do recommend like any plain one or run 3 of him if you have him, but I'm guessing you probably don't. I mean, like sometimes he'll waste an econ, but that's not very likely. It doesn't happen that often. So I do run 3 per Evo in here just because I have them and they synergize with Bazoo. You can use any sort of like defensive spell or trap card. You don't really need boosting stuff because like the main point of this deck is to get out a Beast or Beast Warrior type monster. Well, getting 2 of them out and then using its effect to boost to over 3k damage. Like any of these monsters, they're gonna be over 3k. And then you'll get 5k from like most of the combinations of 3 of these. So let's see, some spell. Like you could, like if you don't have that many utility cards yet, gotta remove filter. You could run cards like Security Orb. They still function pretty well and they do pretty much the same job as Enemy Controller. You could run Windstorm, of course. Metamorph isn't that needed. I mostly throw it in because it's prismatic, but it can also get over like, really huge monsters. What did I even change? Oh. Then last one, well actually, we can look at character specific ones. So 3-star fish do pretty well in PvP, but you, like since, like if you're leveling up Mako or Rex, you might as well use their field spell. Well, you don't really have to anymore. Like getting over 1700 is pretty good, but yeah, it's pretty useful using the field spell for specific duelists. Unless they have balance, which Mako does, so you can just use the auto fusion deck if you have it. But if you don't have the cards for it, you could just, well, you could make like some kind of weird Daedalus deck, or you could make the 3-star fish. There is... Alright, let's look at Rex. This is probably outdated. That's okay. Yeah, actually this would work for an auto duel deck for Rex. So you just boost up stuff and use this because Prismatic. It also gets over monsters. Yeah, this would work pretty well for Rex. You get your 1900 dinos, your 2k dino, you get your search out. Pretty sure this is his level 40 card though, so you're not gonna have this. So that's unfortunate. For these kinds of decks, it's really easy to just like throw in these 1900s. But you could also add in some fossil excavation. So with this card, you can actually just discard a really strong dinosaur and then instantly revive it. It doesn't get its effects, but that doesn't really matter that much. So with this card, I think there's like only one good dino that you could use for it, but it might be worth trying. You don't need that really filter. There's not that many of them. So this is his level up card. Probably won't use that when leveling up Rex. It's not even that great. Could be used though, but it doesn't get its effect if you use Fossil. This is a card that you'd probably use if you use Fossil Excavation. Maybe run like 2 of these and 2 fossils. Maybe not. Because this works just fine the way it is. You might get 3k if you're lucky. Well, if you're using like Prismatics and Glossies and do a Tribute Summon. So I suppose I might as well show some auto duels with these decks. Let's go with Weevil first. Any random duels to work. Okay, so this is the OTC deck.
Duel.
Didn't get Beast Rising, but obviously this will be fine and as long as he doesn't OTC me. Hopefully it doesn't send out the Karibo. I know it likes to do that sometimes now. Okay, so that's pretty quick. We didn't get any Beast Rising use, but that's fine. It just sort of functioned like a beatdown deck. Got over 3k because we run Prismatics, no damage, spell and trap. So I really like this one because like you'll often get over 3k damage, and it's also really consistent, and it doesn't require a skill. I also feel like Beast Rising is pretty underutilized. You could easily replace things like Karibo with Security Orb, or maybe using some kind of damage boosting. So this one's using the equip, and piercing the equip. You can beat the release Gear Freight, so this deck really isn't that much of a problem. So if you run Metal Morph, it often doesn't like to actually activate Beast Rising to get rid of the card with Metal Morph on it, but it'll still end up getting the 3k damage bonus. So maybe running Metal Morph isn't the best. Of course, Black Pendant Runes are no damage bonus, so it's always annoying. Still got 3k though. it'll consistently get 3k through 4k. It just really depends if it ends up getting over 5,000 damage or not. Let's do one more with this deck. They go by pretty quickly. On these decks, like all of these will work versus any of the legendary duels. Alright, something bad about it. Sometimes it will just randomly like start endangering your... Okay. That's no good. So it could have won here, but it just started throwing everything in defense mode instead of actually using Beast Rising. It'll do that occasionally versus the fairy deck. Not really sure why it wouldn't just use the cards, but it happens. But overall, it's really consistent, doesn't require a skill, and we'll get 3k through 4k points. Let's do Auto Fusion next.
Nothing will save you from humiliation. Here I go.
Okay. So, with this one, you do really want balance. Doesn't really matter who he verses. Okay, fairies. I do like running Master of Oz in my fusion decks because of the fairy deck. Like sometimes it'll get out Joan plus 2 Freya, and then Black Meteor Skull Dragon. Yeah, Black Meteor Dragon won't be able to get over it.
Duel.
So since we're going second, we can just click Auto Duel. Okay, it's gonna get out 2 of them. 2 Master of Oz. So that's basically an instant free win for 4k points. It will go like that pretty often for fusion. So I would use this over pretty much any other deck. Beast Rising would be my second pick because it doesn't require a skill. It also gets 3k through 4k. Of course, sometimes you'll end up going first, and fusion deck doesn't really like to fuse on turn 1.
Duel.
So, you could either just set this and maybe you'll get a Des Kangaroo, but we do have fusion gate, so it doesn't really matter. So all I'm gonna do is just fuse on turn 1 and then auto duel. If you click auto duel as you click activate, you won't have to select any of the targets. So that helps speed it along. And of course stuff like Rayne plus Vermin are pretty annoying to deal with. It's not that much of a problem. You can also... Oh, that's unfortunate. So like a lot of the time, like you'll have like a tribute monster, like Red Eyes is pretty costly to get out, but Meteor Dragon, you can tribute like your Des Kangaroo or your Blue Dragon Summoner, and you'll get some extra points. Also, if you're paying attention, you could like stop the auto duel and then do an attack with your weaker monster and make sure it gets the 3k damage points. And the majority of the time you'll almost always get 3 through 4k points with it unless you lose. So it's a really consistent deck. Let's test out this Mai deck.
Check this out.
Kaiba Man. I haven't really used this deck very much, but it should work out pretty well. You might want to add in like some extra 4 stars or maybe some draw power, but it will work. And I know a lot of people like they like Blue Eyes, so they'll invest in it. So I could just set this. Well, the auto duel would send it in attack mode. With Metal Morph it should be safe enough. What will it do? Oh, okay, it gets over. It also doesn't like to search out the prismatic Blue Eyes for some reason. So it's really unfortunate. Yeah, you could probably optimize this deck a little bit more. It's also unfortunate that it doesn't attack with Kaiser. Else you definitely get some bonuses. So it definitely works. It might be one of the easier ones to build. I would recommend trying to get Beast Rising if you can though. And then Auto Fusion eventually when you can afford it. Yeah. Okay. So you could run more Kid Moto if you want. Blue Dragon Summoner searches out Blue Eyes, so that's really good. Kaiser for the 2 tribute ability to get him out. Getting tribute off is pretty good, like you get 300 extra points. And then of course stuff like Mirror Wall so they could crash into this or this. Also keep them alive. And that's about it.